How you doing today? What a day it was yesterday. Let me tell you, it was not fun. As you can tell, we got a bit of snow. All that's behind me. That was all bare. And then a bunch of just stuff we call crap up here just started dumping. That's how you can tell Alaskans who have been here for a while as compared to those who, all the Chachakos who come up here and follow all the reality TV shows about what it's like to homestead in Alaska and are rudely surprised and go scuttling back in about 2 to 3 years, sadly leaving all their garbage, what was going to be a house, in ruins. It's wild. So we got dumped on yesterday, and I've got an issue with a hole back on my high tunnel that I'm going to have to fix. As you can see right there, right there. That's a big hole. So, after, well, we've had it up for 3 years, and it's done pretty well. But this year, a load got stuck in there and became like a pouch, and then that weight drove it right through. Normally I get to it in time, or, just use a snow rake and get it off of there. But this year, it just kept on dumping. But it's so nice to be out here on a sunny, beautiful day like this. And I wanted to talk today about what's with all this fear mongering. It's like I started watching a bunch of these prepper channels out there, and I get a laugh out of watching Canadian Prepper, because that guy, it's interesting. Have you noticed all these preppers who are talking about going out and doing the preppering, but then you notice that they're still living in the city? I don't know if I told you about this, but about 2 years? Or was it before? Yeah, it was before I was on Treasure Quest Snake Island for Discovery Channel. That a buddy of mine, Paul Markle from Student of the Gun, if you get a chance, go check out his channel, his website, Student of the Gun, or SOTG. Paul Markle, former Marine. Former law enforcement. And anyway, we got contacted. Michael Hawk from Man Woman Wild got us hooked up with this production company in New York City. And so this producer, she asked the same question she asked Paul, and I was laughing because it was the same exact question, which is like, so tell me about your bunker. Tell me about your bug out place. I mean, where are you going to bug out to? And at that time, Paul was in Wyoming, and I had already come back up here to Alaska. And I said, our bug out place? What, like we're going to run to? And I tell her, I'm here. I've been here since 2012. Yeah. It takes a while to set up a homestead. It's not like, you can do a turnkey. You can buy it from someone who's booking out because they just can't deal with the winters up here. There's my lone goose. She just keeps on calling out. And we got some of the other. These are African Toulouse cross. They're kind of like removing the African out of it, but I like the African genetic in there because that's more the guard dog. And when I was being raised in Southeast Asia, like in Indonesia, geese are used as guard dogs at the house. And here, we haven't had any problems with meth heads. Why? Because meth heads don't like to work. Hence why they're in criminal activity. So, when the geese appeared, people stopped showing up at the old homestead thinking, nobody's home. But now they can't tell whether somebody's home or not, because the geese notice anything and they just start honking. And when they start honking, meth heads jump in their vehicles and run. And that's a good thing. Which brings me to a topic that I hope, along with all your beans and rice, I hope you're not just doing beans and rice. I mean, beans and rice is okay. But I don't know whether it's like some people have either been in the military and got MREs or wanted to be in the military and got MREs. But let me tell you about the process of MREs. MREs are something you use when you're out on an operation, on a mission, and then you get back. The first thing you do is you hit the mess hall or the chow hall, and you eat everything you can that's fresh. You eat roughage, you eat lettuce, fresh lettuce, vegetables, fresh vegetables, boiled vegetables, meat, and you get all that fresh good stuff in you. And the whole idea is to clear that block that those MREs created in your intestinal system. And I'm telling you, I have a lot of friends who are in the military and went through that dietary process. That's just a gut killer. Kills your good probiotics in your body, your good bacteria, and sets you up for things like diverticulitis. You don't want to get diverticulitis. I got a light form of it myself, and I highly attribute it to the crap I was eating when we got these shipments from the States. So we get these shipments from the States, right? So we come down and get dropped off at Ilopango Air Base, or when we were helping the Nicaraguans with a Contra, get dropped off in, who's that over there? Oh, there's that lone goose again. Yeah, there she is. We get dropped off and we get these American rations. And when I was working with my teams, they're all indigenous, right? So I actually preferred to stay on their rations, which would be like a canned tamale, right? A canned tamale, or sometimes we make a deal with a local farmer to buy some poultry from them and just cook it right there. So that's what we'd eat. And then other times, you're just snacking on whatever light rations you'd be carrying. But that's why, I'd be out on a 9-day operation. I was losing a pound a day. It was wild. Yeah. The things to be thinking about are like, I was just watching the Max, and he was talking about the 5 things you need. And he was talking about having, blueberries, go and pick up some veggies and fruit and stuff like that. But more importantly, having stuff growing, like right here. Spring will be coming in. That right there is an aronia. So we'll be getting fresh berries, antioxidants in that, very healthy. Plus everything that will be raised in this high tunnel, and then the one that's downhill from that one. So you can you see the roof right over there? See how big that is? Yeah, there's the other roof. Okay, so that's 2 high tunnels. The one that's down below is 48 feet by 48 feet by 30 foot. Has some apple trees and cherry trees in there. And then this one up here, the one that I have to fix the breach, is 20 foot by 60 foot. Oh, and that's what I'm gonna have to do too. So, show you some of the work. See, when you're working on a homestead, remember I was telling you how hard it is for me to work on, which, by the way, I am working on my Central America War memoir again, and I'm very happy about that. That needs to be told. So that tree right there, that tree has to, that tree right there. Man, this is tricky when you gotta do it like that. So that tree right there is blocking sun, but my greatest fear is that one day it will, that tree right there with the tree trunk I'm pointing exactly at, that tree, that one up right there, that one could collapse onto the high tunnel. Man, I am just falling through this snow every time. It's melting. It's melting as I'm talking. And I got trees to cut down. I got another tree that's over there, which is a birch tree that needs to be cut down. I'm nurturing these. See how I've limbed them up? And notice when you limb up, what happens is, one of the reasons you limb up is so that the ground below will be exposed to the sun more rapidly than the rest of the area, because that's why you notice the snow's deeper over there in the open area than it is where it's almost bare right here. And also today I raked a little bit just to get it out, and then that'll absorb the moisture, the heat, the warmth from the sun. But it makes the trees go faster too. So they'll get their heat going, then the fluids start coming up, back up, the tree sap starts going back up the tree earlier than the rest of the trees that are blocked off, and have like this tree right here. That's not limbed up. That one right back there. That one's not limbed. I'll limb up that one for this next year and open it up. But I don't want to open up too much because that's actually where I grow mushrooms. So like shiitakes. I'll be getting some oyster mushrooms going over in there. Oh, the chicken house. I got to work on the chicken house. So that was the original, which basically was a quick fix. This whole compound right here, which is under the herring net, that was a greenhouse, but quickly turned it into a chicken run and chicken house. But that was just with a few birds, just chickens, and a few geese. Well, we got 8 geese at first, and then suddenly now we got like 19 geese, over 30 chickens, and 11 turkeys. So, and all those eggs, I'll show you in a sec. All that is the result of labor, physical labor, getting outside, going out and do things. Oh man, look at that gobbler right there. That is a good looking gobbler right there. Whoa, let's see. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Yip, 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 yip. Yeah, he's kind of shy. So anyway, you see the poles over there? That's going to be the new large chicken house. And it'll be a modern one where we can actually walk around, do a quick sweep out the back. You're going to like that build. That is a cool build. 20 foot by 10 foot floor space. And then up here, this is where I've raised barley. Up here on this field, up here on this hill. I've grown barley up on top there. Beautiful field. Pretty cool. Pretty cool to like walk through a field and just draw your hands through the grain, like you're out in a field in Montana or Kansas, North Dakota, South Dakota. And we got a good variety of trees here, which is very important. So we're really working on getting the permaculture aspect of this going, right? And I just did it on me. On here, this is part of a program. This is a pollination program we got in on. So I got, what do I have in here? I got black currant. Yeah, I got black currant, hascaps, is it hascaps too? Or what is the other one that I got in there? Oh, Saskatoons, not hascaps. Or is it, no, I got, yeah, I do have, I got hascaps, I got Saskatoons, got black currants, what's that other one? Yeah, Swedish black currants, and chives. Chives are actually used as a cover crop on the bottom. Also, clover, so red clover, and so those are going to be good pollination for our bees. So that's pretty cool. Sad to say that we did lose the bees this year. The colony, I guess, was too small to make it, and so as a result, it's gone kaput. They're all gone. So we've got a new group coming in. This time we'll do like a set house. Problem is, we had them in a housing, but the housing got too hot, and so you got to watch it with the bees. It's actually better to have more aeration, more wind or air coming through, just so the moisture doesn't build up. And that's what happened. The moisture built up, but then it just got too hot, right? And the key is to make sure that you've got air coming in and going out, so that you don't get that moisture in there, because that's what really just whacks the bees. And then they've been talking about mites, but our situation was just the humidity, as you can see with all this snow right here. So, and it's just full of snow, right? Just totally full of snow. And I can't wait for that to clear out, but the only sun it's getting, of course, is from morning until afternoon. By afternoon, the sun's moved over, but the sun is moving, staying up longer, which is really nice. That's a pretty cool thing. It makes it nice and bright, which is why I have to use my mountaineering glasses, because it is so bright against the snow. So I'll be going down in there, doing a little walk, check around, see what's happening. And there's a tree over there that the top of it is lobbed off, but it's got a really good base tree trunk, and it's actually still alive, even though like a third of it, or yeah, about a third of it is broken off on top. So it's a trunk that goes straight up about 30 feet, 40 feet, and it's about 30-inch diameter log. So I'll be taking that one down, and I'll be milling it this summer. And these are all things, looking at that you got to take care of. So I got to cut trees down, and that's just to get them out of the way. Some will be for firewood. Some of them, depending on the quality of the wood on the base, are going to be for lumber. And taking care of the birds, feeding the pigs. Bear season will be starting pretty soon. So I always believe in full sound conservation, which is if you hunt moose and you shoot a moose, you should also go and shoot predators. And bears, like black bear is the top of my list of my favorite predator hunt, because I can use everything. The meat is excellent depending on when and where you get it. So I've got to get them before June, mid-June, because by June the salmon will be full on in the rivers, in the streams, and it'll taste horrible. Their meat will taste horrible until I start hunting them again in mid-September, and that's when my preferred, which is the blueberry bear. Blueberry bear is amazing. The old pioneer women back in the 1800s, of course, they were telling their men to go out and shoot a bear, bring it back so that they could make pies, because the pastry made with the lard rendered from the bear fat is the most amazing. And when it comes from a bear that's been feeding on blueberries, not only is it just an amazing flavor, it also, and clean, it's the fat's wild because it's blue. It's actually stained blue from all the blueberries that they're eating. A little bit of Western lore. But yeah, it's just wild looking at the news, what's happening right now. I'm just watching everything. Just wondering how many of you are doing something. I mean, if you're stuck in the city, you can still do something. I always tell people, go watch a movie. Go watch a movie pre-90 and look at how you can see the tops of high-rises, like in New York and San Francisco and LA. And 9 times out of 10, they always had a garden up there, And it sometimes you still have that, but a lot of these gardens have disappeared. Like in San Francisco, I think the reason it's disappeared is because you don't have that continuity of residents in San Francisco. It's like you have people in tech come in, they live there, and they live in groups of people to keep the cost down of staying in an apartment while they're working in a tech company down in Silicon Valley, or they're working remotely from that apartment. And then when they make enough money, they either move out of the state and continue to pull in their salaries, right? But now they're in Kansas or Nebraska, where the cost of living is so much better. Or they move to other parts of the suburbs, San Francisco, which is pretty normal. How people have moved in, move into the suburbs of a main city that they come to for work and to get their professional life started. But when you used to have people who would live in San Francisco and actually raise families, that's no longer happening. You don't have that continuity of people raising vegetables on top of their apartments at the top on the roof. And so you have people who are totally reliant on everything, all their food being shipped in. That is a very precarious place to be, especially as the price of fuel is ramping up and is going to explode. And they're always looking for opportunities. I will tell you one thing that I think what's happening. Correct me if I'm wrong. Please comment below. Tell me what you think. I would love to hear what you think. I did notice in a prior comment that I was getting the feeling that it was like, good luck in buying all that gold. Well, I'm not telling you to buy gold. I'm telling you to get assets. There's a big difference between the two. I've got friends who are buying ammunition. Ammunition is an asset. I've got friends right now who are actually trading ammunition for services. So it's already being used as a currency. Ammunition is already being used as a currency for my own personal experience of observing what's happening, where a box of ammo would be traded for what, an hour of work or 2 hours of work. Like a friend of mine in Texas traded just a box of 5.56 for the repair on his air conditioner, right? So the key is currency. What is currency? There's fiat currency, which is representational, which is fake currency, because it's anything that can be manipulated, not by the market, but manipulated by bankers, puts you in a slave situation. And this is going to be interesting because when and if they're able to bring in the CBDC, the digital banking, if they bring that in, there's a lot of issues that are going to happen. Like in China right now, they have that. They also have all these control measures on on the subjects, where they need a pool of workers to be able to provide the support to have that program work. And my question is, how are they going to do CBDC in the United States or increase surveillance? I mean, we had the situation back during 9/11. A lot of that stuff was because of miscommunication or lack of communication between various government agencies, but it was also because there was just so much information. And when you have that much information, how are you going to have the number of people, the manpower, in order to deal with that, right? So there's all these things that are happening, and they're happening very rapidly. And I think that's actually one of the reasons for the bridge. And anybody who thinks that was accidental is freaking... if you think that was accidental, I don't know what to say. But the effects of that is when you see something like that happen, and then you also see it happen in other countries. So there are a lot of shipping accidents that are occurring and have been occurring for the last 2 weeks around the world, right? So what's going to be affected by these accidents, quote, accidents, in shipping? Well, manipulation of the market, manipulation of the price, and the one who pays is going to be the consumer, right? We've all been trained, we've been indoctrinated to be consumers. And the question is, what kind of consumer are you? Are you a consumer that also is a provider? Do you have a currency, you have an asset that you can provide into the market yourself that can be exchanged for something else? Like a farmer has assets. A farmer has land, hopefully owns the land that isn't owned by the bank. Has the vegetables, has the livestock, has the poultry, has the eggs that are assets that can be traded in as a form of currency for things that you want. So it's actually going back. I haven't done a talk about my bell curve, my bell curve that I have in my mind that looks at history and is watching history as it plays out, where we had this big giant increase in evolution of technology, society, developments, some of them great, some of them not so great. And that's just a personal view. Everybody's got their view, it's all an opinion. And my opinion is that we're following this, they're going down to the pond. The geese are like sneaking down to the pond trying to get into water, but there is no unfrozen water down to the pond yet. Again, the issues of living in Alaska, like everybody else, is pretty much either just complaining about rain or just enjoying the sun. Here I'm enjoying the sun, but I am stuck between not wanting to gum up my snowshoes or skis and being able to just walk freely in a pair of boots. So it's that transition point that's kind of a dilemma when you want to go out and check out things. I also got to cut the trees before they're fully, sending sap everywhere. I don't see it happening yet because the ground is still pretty solid, when I walk around. But so this bell curve on history is that we reached a point of technological, societal development, and now we're retarding. We're going back onto the other side of the bell curve, right? So let's say the top of the bell curve in terms of advances and development was, let's say, I would actually say, it's hard to take, because if you look at the technologies with the internet and all that kind of stuff, it's different from the other advances or losses. You know, the point of like people saying, hey, we can't even get back to, we're already trying to get to the moon, to Mars, or we're trying to put people on the moon, but yet people are saying we can't even get up there yet again because the knowledge has been lost, right? And we look at how the bell curve goes, so we're going back, and now we're actually getting back into the 80s societally, in the 70s, and also in technology. So and the way that happens is that you get excellent service on your internet. You get excellent provision on your electricity. But then the infrastructure is crumbling, and it gets to crumble and crumble and crumble. And then you go back all the way to the point that you were, and we're on horse-drawn carts again. So the question is, do you want to be living in the city, dragging a cart, which they used to, you know, that's what they used to do, go and pull the elites' garbage from their mansions and take them out and actually go through the garbage to see what they could find and scavenge for themselves. Right? That was the old way. That we will devolve into that state. Or you can be a free man, a free woman, and live in the country and basically just have to deal with your property taxes and the other collector, which is the predators, and making sure that your assets, aka turkeys, geese, are protected from predators. So we're going to be having some continued issues, and next time I'm going to talk about how there is no coincidence in all this. This is not happenstance. And my feeling, it's an opinion, my feeling is that those who are manipulating the market, manipulating society, manipulating countries, are going to ramp up their actions in order to get what they can before everything collapses. I think that the people who have been paying attention to this, who have the money and wherewithal to either slow it down a little bit or make it speed up a little bit, are doing what they can, and they're doing it out of self-interest and very selfish self-interest that is basically just, they're trying to build their ark. They're trying to build their ark so that they can weather the storm and float it out while everybody else succumbs, right? So if they're going to build a giant ark, you might want to build at least a small little lifeboat. If you can, like I said before, if you can't get in the country, like on your own, you've got to have relatives. You got to have friends who've already moved out. They might even have an in-law. They might even build you an in-law. Does it mean that you're going to have to go and work on that person's property? Yeah, that's the deal. That's the way it is. That's how my ancestors got here. My ancestors, yeah, the Fullers, they came on the Mayflower. And they were basically working for their own land, for their own food, right? But they were indentured to the company that sent them, right? And on the Scots-Irish side, you know, they came out, got away from Belfast in 1774 and got to South Carolina on the Pennsylvania farmer. Arrived in Charleston. And back then, you could buy land in that area too if you had some money. But they all got into farming. And they'd all been farmers. And they lived well. And they continue to move west. So that movement west, yeah, the Grahams got all the way out to Iowa. And from Iowa, Montana, Spokane, then Saigon, Singapore. Yeah, we're always moving west, right? And you're noticing that also now with people, I call them the carpetbaggers. Those who are born in the United States, benefited from the system we had in the United States, but instead of like staying here and helping to do something about it, to fix it, to get us back, not even get it back, get us to a better state, because we can get to a better state. Because, I mean, our country was stolen from us in 1910. When J.P. Morgan, the Rothschilds, representatives of the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, they all got together and they went over to Jekyll Island, which back then was like it was like the Mar-a-Lago of the 1900s, early 1900s. And they concocted this whole thing. They brought in the IRS, they brought in the Federal Reserve, all these things they created. And they created it to manipulate and get everything they could. On one level, there's a benefit at it. We got all these advances, right? But at the same time, we got the destruction of our society, destruction of our independence, not just as a country, but as citizens. That we really aren't even, I don't even know if we're even citizens anymore. Because citizens have a component of freedom. And as we're seeing with the censorship by Spybook and even YouTube, like there are things I'd love to talk about right here, and I'm getting ready to talk about over on Rumble. You can't talk about them. So we're going into some waters that there be big sea monsters here. And I'm hoping that you are thinking ahead, but most importantly, you are putting action into your thoughts. You're looking at what to do. And with that, just wanted to give you just a quick little tour of what I got to be dealing with these next few days. And I mean, this is on 5 Acres and a Moose channel, but I'm also going to talk a little bit more on my Quark's Critical Thinking Corner over on the other channel here on YouTube. And that's the one which will really be coming out, and that's the one that actually has the podcast on your iPod and iHeartRadio, where I'll talk about the more political things that are happening. It's not even political. It's geopolitical, because it's around the world. It's not. This is the thing about a global economy. When you have nationalism in countries where they have a separation of the economies, you have lifeboats in certain countries that maybe did not follow the same doctrine of the one that is leading you down a treacherous road, one that leads to starvation and economic collapse. And that's the one we're on. And that's by design, because the people now who have taken it over think that the best thing is to just do a reset. Well, if you do a reset with the amount of people that we have on this planet, 7 billion? It's going to be very, very traumatic. And I don't know if I can really talk about it on this channel. So I'd suggest going over to Quark's Critical Thinking Corner, Quark Graham, Quark's Critical Thinking Corner, my other channel. That's the one I'll talk about this, because what was it? We have 22 million illegal immigrants that were passed through into the United States over these last 3 years. What are the ramifications for when they no longer get free money and they still have to feed themselves and they can't find work? Think about that. I hate to leave you on that thought, but it's the one that keeps me up at night. But I'm doing something about it, and I'll talk about it over there. So on that note, thanks for visiting and seeing the homestead after we got dumped on. which was blizzard conditions. Tomorrow should be clear, and we'll go over and, oh yeah, we'll dig the trench to get into the high tunnels. That's the fun stuff, where we got to dig the trench through the snow with the crowbar and the shovel just to get to the door, and then start looking around at all the stuff that we got to prep to get it ready for planting inside there. On that note, I wish you the best, and as I like to say, hasta el otro lado. I'll see you on the other side.